Fans are eating this one up. As the days get warmer, the playoff push heats up with wonders of who will play who. The Hurricanes are inching closer to that postseason, and any match would be a favorable one for the Canes on every single level. Welcome to Hurricanes Digest. I'm Jeff Testanero. Caniacs, my numbers tell me that if you're watching, you're probably not subscribed, so smash that subscribe button and let's get that number up. The Metro title is pretty much a wrap unless the Canes have a massive collapse, which I don't think they're going to. The magic number is very achievable. Top spot in the division is happening. Well, what about the top of the East? That's what everybody's wondering about. I've been harping on that the last few weeks, maybe. I mean, let's face facts. The Hurricanes are going to make the playoffs. The Hurricanes are going to win the Metro. It's pretty much a wrap unless they fall apart completely. But let's go to the East standings. The East is a complete dumpster fire. It's a mess. It's a complete cluster. Nobody knows where anyone is going. You know, who's in who's going where. 3 teams are tied at the top, 1 including the Hurricanes. This makes it hard since this has to do with seeding for the playoffs. Obviously, the bottom is also a mess. The Blue Jackets are in, then they're out, and the Red Wings are in, and then they're out. The Islanders can't make up their minds as to what they want to do. The only real solid one is the Bruins at, W1. So my question is, who would the Canes want to face in round 1? Who would be a better matchup for the Hurricanes in the first? There are a lot of teams that the Hurricanes could face off with in the first round, but who would want to step up? We're going to take a look at a few. Let's start in Detroit. Let's start with the Detroit Red Wings. So far, it's advantage Carolina. 2-0-1 on the season so far versus Detroit. 3 points they got off the Red Wings. 2 wins, 1 overtime loss. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Jackson Blake scored in each of the games, while Ghost had 7 points versus the Red Wings, which is always nice. Canes had no problem outscoring the Red Wings 8-4 on the 5-on-5. Detroit has a subpar special teams, while the Canes are just a monster powerhouse on the power play. If you don't believe me, go back and look. I mean, Ehlers and Svechnikov are tied at the team lead with 9 power play goals apiece this season. Honestly, I think the only, issue, with the exception of the really shoddy penalty kill for Detroit, would be John Gibson. Gibson didn't play well. Now he is playing well. He's kind of up and down. He's closing in on 30 wins. First year with the Red Wings. After watching the games against Montreal, it's hard to say if the Hurricanes can really stand up to a tough goaltender. Gibson has picked it up a bit. We all know how well they did against Montreal's goaltending. Dobish is a freak. He's not. I mean, John Gibson's not the Montreal goaltender. This series really shouldn't be a problem for the Hurricanes, to be honest with you. They can eat them up on the power play. They can eat them up in net. They can go hard. Really not really worried about the Detroit Red Wings if they do face Carolina in round 1. How about the Boston Bruins? I wouldn't mind seeing this one based on history and the excitement factor of said history. The Bruins used to love to go to Hartford and beat up the Whalers. So far, the Canes are 1-1 versus Boston this season with 1 to go. Should be pretty good. Aho and Jarvis, produced. Both games were low-scoring games. And they didn't produce much, but they kind of pulled it together. You know, Canes won 3-1 in one and 2-1. They lost in the other. 1 win, 1 loss. A lot of the other top producers didn't really produce much. Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov did their thing against Boston. You know, top guys like Pasta and Greinke for Boston really didn't do much. Held in check by the Hurricanes defense. You know, Svechnikov is killing it on the power play. Svechnikov is usually killing it against mediocre defenses, and that's what Boston has, is a pretty mediocre defense at best. They allow a lot of shots while on the penalty kill, which is not good news for Boston moving forward, as they've taken, and this is no surprise to me, second most penalties in the league this year. Pasta, he could be a little scary against Carolina. Pasta's due. Pasta's really the only upside to Boston's, skate game. He'll break out at some point. He'll shine like he does, but honestly, he's one man, and the Hurricanes can contain guys like that. They ain't worried about guys like that. So Boston, not really scary to me. Well, a little more scary to me than some of the other teams. But, whatever. Moving on. New York Islanders. Like I said earlier, Islanders can't make up their mind as to where they want to be. The Islanders do not fare well against a strong defense. Canes have only played them once this year. Perfect record, 1-0. 2 games remaining against New York Islanders this year to close out the season. The only game the Canes and the Islanders played in, the Hurricanes destroyed the Islanders 6-2, which is pretty ugly. Nikishin, one of the stronger defenders on Carolina. Actually, Carolina's got some pretty strong defenders. Islanders do not fare well against a strong defense. Their power play is dreadful. The Islanders and the Canes have met in the playoffs before, so there's history between the Isles and the Canes in the playoffs. One that the Isles would like to erase. Canes have beaten the Islanders 3 previous playoff meetings, winning 12 of 15 games versus the New York Islanders. Let's not forget, 2023-24. Both years, the Hurricanes eliminated the Islanders 2 years in a row. Handshake line going in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes, which is always nice to see. Sorokin, they do have Sorokin. Schaefer is doing well in his rookie season on the island, but Canes get hot. Good luck stopping the storm surge on offense. Good luck with that one. So I'm not really worried about the Islanders either. Ottawa. Last but not least, let's take a look at the Ottawa Senators as a matchup for the Carolina Hurricanes potentially in round 1. So far, the Canes have a 2-0 edge over Ottawa with a 4-1 win, a 4-3 win versus the Senators. Seth Jarvis, 3 goals, an assist against Ottawa. Jarvie producing. Aho, Seabass, 3-point game versus the Sens in Rollywood. Chalbot is out, and the Sens are banged up. They don't have, much of playoff experience. The Ottawa PK is towards the bottom of the league, and the Canes are at the top of the league in power play. So the Carolina Hurricanes would come out and pretty much destroy their penalty kill. Yeah, they got Brady. They got the other Kachuk. But Brady doesn't want to play in Ottawa anymore, so they should just take care of that. We're not going to talk about these guys. I don't want to talk about these guys anymore. I'm tired of talking about these guys. I don't want to think about this as a potential first-round matchup. Not happening. So, whomever the Canes face in round 1, whether it's Ottawa, Boston, Detroit, maybe even Columbus, you don't know. It's not going to be easy, but it's kind of going to be easy. They have the edge over most of the teams. If it is Columbus in the first round, we'll find, they'll find a way. Columbus played them tougher than the other teams. End of the season should be interesting for the Hurricanes. No team at the bottom, in the bottom of the playoff race, looks too serious for the Carolina Hurricanes. So, should be a nice first round. For Hurricanes Digest, I'm Jeff Testanero. Take care.